And here's an interesting aspect of it, right? So the doctor recommended, because of the amount of nicotine I was taking, the doctor recommended I put 3 patches and take 20 up to 20 high strength nicotine gums a day, right? And I'm very nervous on my first day. I put on 2 patches because I'm scared to put on 3 patches. I go through your 2 days of program, and then I'm just like, I take off the patch. I'm like, I'm just going to stick to 1 patch. I think that does it for me. And instead of taking 20 nicotine gums, I took 0 nicotine gums. So all that stuff that I got, I didn't have to use.
Hi everyone, this is Nasir Davos and welcome to this episode of Ask an Ex. Every Ask an Ex episode features an inspiring ex-smoker who succeeded with the CBQ method and who shares their personal experience and unique perspective on quitting smoking. Now, the ex I have with me today joined our CBQ program and quit vaping on the 27th of October 2020, and he's here to tell you how he did it. Please welcome Rohit Chavla. Hi, Rohit. Thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure, Nasya. Hi, everyone.
And a huge congratulations on your success on quitting vaping.
Yes, it's been more than a year now.
So, and this is a great achievement. So how did you start vaping?
How did I start vaping? I think, I was addicted to smoking in the beginnings. I was always smoking. And then the whole vaping kind of became a little bit more mainstream. And I tried it. And at times it was a little bit harder, but there was also conflicting research about maybe it's a little bit healthier, it's a little bit better with some, potential effects. So I thought at least it's better for me than smoking. So I kind of started to try to like it. And I started liking it. And very quickly, it became very convenient because whether it's raining outside or snowing outside, it doesn't matter. You can just vape from home. So I was spending heavily on it, and I was 90% of the time during my vaping phase, I was just vaping.
Wow! And for how many years, if you can remember, you were a smoker and then you switched to vaping?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a late bloomer, and I've had some quits in between as well, where I was able to quit for 3 to 6 months, and then I kind of got back on it. I started smoking in my a bit early to mid 20s, and then so I kind of started late, and then I smoked for roughly 10 years, and then vaped for roughly 5 years or 6 years or so. I'm kind of giving you a very rough estimate, but that's roughly the time. So I was able to completely be satisfied with vaping for the last 5-6 years before I quit it.
And so, what made you want to quit it?
I mean, obviously we all know that smoking is bad, and even with vaping, there is so much research coming out about glass lungs and people dying of lung collapse. So you just don't know what's in there. I felt so much of a slave to smoking as well. Like if I have to go, because with vaping you have different issues. You need to make sure you have a charger. Sometimes I'll carry my own battery if I'm going on a day trip or to the beach. So just kind of organizing all that, you feel like you have to plan your things around your addiction. So just so many reasons to not wanting to quit. I remember watching this video from an Indian guru where someone asked this question. I think you referred to one of those similar concepts too, where a guy asked, I work out, I don't have any other bad habits, but I smoke. How do I quit this bad habit? I only have one bad habit. And he said, don't think of smoking as bad habit. It's not a bad habit. It's not a good habit. It's a stupid habit. Because it would be like saying that, you want to invest money in a business for a car engine that will emit more smoking, more gases. That's just stupid. This is an eco-friendly body and you're putting toxic gases in. So once you start seeing something as stupid, it's very hard to justify doing it over and over again or wanting to do it over and over again. So
that resonated with you.
It resonated and I think you mentioned something like, why pay money and why do this to inject yourself. So you know you want to do it. And I think watching a lot of videos around, the bad effects of smoking, it really helps me build that willpower more and more to want to quit. As you start to see like your stroke chances, chances of stroke and lung, we all know it, but when we see it more and more, I think it builds that willpower to, or that motivation to quit
That
even
mind
more.
power. It
Right,
helps
the
you,
mind power.
start thinking about it a bit differently. But to your point, I think it's important, because if you're not really ready to receive these messages of how it affects your body and all those things, we just tend to block them. But when we've started a little bit to consider quitting, and those messages come, we're more receptive to it, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think not only that, I think part of it is also some of these myths that we sort of start to believe, but that we hear over the years, that we need to break and be open to. Like one of the things I heard many times, and I told people, and I've heard this from other smokers saying, quitting smoking is harder than quitting heroin, right?
Yeah,
It's just absolutely not true.
true. I have to agree. Yeah, it's nothing like it.
Nothing like it. So there are all these myths and belief systems that we have that we need to break through in order to be ready to believe that we can do it. And at most everyone has tried to quit at least once and failed. And um, we have to understand, we have to, the more we prepare for this, just like anything else, the more easy it becomes to do.
Absolutely. Very, very, very important point. Because how many times we try to quit smoking or vaping without any preparation, in the excitement of the moment, because it's Monday, because the pack is over or the cartridges are over and whatnot. And we don't have any preparation to back up our efforts. So then they come crashing down. So yeah, preparation is so important.
Exactly. Yeah.
So while you were preparing, what sort of made a big difference for you, or really helped you prepare before your quit date?
Yeah, this was the first time I really prepared for it. I mean, all my past quit attempts was, let's slap a patch and see how it goes and try to just resist the feeling. This was the first time I did it. The effort included, and I think I talked to my doctor, who
Mhm.
was very generous. And that's another myth that reminds me, because one of my friends said, I don't want to tell my doctor that I want to quit smoking, because then they will know I smoke and my insurance will go up. And I was like, it's not car insurance. You can talk to your doctor. um, but I spoke to the doctor. They assigned like a person who kind of talked me through some of this.
Mhm.
They obviously helped me with prescribing the patches and the gums and all. They're like, whatever you need, do it. They gave me that bupropion, the Wellbutrin as well as a prescription. I saw a lot of your videos, and that really the free videos that you have on YouTube, and that really started to make me feel very differently about smoking. So all that was part of my preparation effort, watching your YouTube videos while I was building up this Wellbutrin in me and collecting this information from doctors and nurses and online and reading about it and watching those guru videos, that thinking this is a stupid habit. All this was part of the preparation. By the time the quit date, I chose my brother's birthday as a quit date to kind of be like, okay, I'll do this a month out. Um, and yeah, then I started your program on the day that I decided to quit vaping
Okay,
completely.
okay, I have some questions, because so I knew that you sort of did the program in a different and unique way that we don't usually suggest, but I was very, very curious to learn how you went about it. So you talked to your doctor. So you took an amazing step. You asked for help. They prescribed nicotine substitutes and Wellbutrin.
Yes.
And then you started watching some videos. You started, thinking that, oh, maybe there is more to it, to quitting smoking. And then you decided to join the program. So what made you decide to join the program after, you've watched a lot of videos, you've had this help from your doctor? So why did you decide to pay and join a program to continue?
Yeah. I think I saw your TED talk, one of your TED talks of one
Mhm.
of your early TED talks where you talk about the pink elephant. Don't think about the pink
Yeah.
elephant. you
Mhm.
know, the more videos I saw of yours, the more confident I started to feel that this is doable. And one
Okay.
of the biggest messages that connected with me was you said it's 80% mental and 20% physical addiction, which is absolutely true. Um, it's not one of those things that half the people are dumb or half the people are smart. It's really like, a wine has around 10%, maybe it's 82% or 75%, but it's
Exactly.
really majority mental addiction.
Exactly.
And all your techniques about, craving techniques or your, all these videos really made me feel very confident. And by the time, so they gave me, I started taking Wellbutrin a month before the quit date because it has to build up in your system. And I saw all your videos by then. And then I felt so much confidence that I just wanted to do this program, even though I felt pretty confident already from the free videos of yours that I think this is doable. I was like, I want to do the step-by-step program as much as I can. And I think except for step one, where you kind of go down on your smoking, that you talk about
Mhm.
and journal what
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
feeling. I didn't do that step, but I did every other step to the T. I made all the notes. I did all of that as you had planned, and I found it very, very useful. So by that time, I was so much in love with your approach that you have it figured out. And I felt like I should do this program. It's nothing compared to the price of the vaping pods and that we do. And so why not? You know, that was
And
my
so you quit smoking, and on your quit date, basically, you said you started the program to
I started
sustain you.
I started the program on my quit date. I was still on the patches.
Okay.
And here's an interesting aspect of it, right? So the doctor recommended, because of the amount of nicotine I was taking, the doctor recommended I put 3 patches and
What?
take 20 up to 20 high strength nicotine gums a day, right? And I'm very nervous on my first day. I put on 2 patches because I'm scared to put on 3 patches. I go through your 2 days of program, and then I'm just like, I take off the patch. I'm like, I'm just going to stick to 1 patch. I think that does it for me. And instead of taking 20 nicotine gums, I took 0 nicotine gums. So all
Wow.
that stuff that I got, I didn't have to use. I just stuck with the patch, 1 patch, because it made me feel good. And I went through the step-by-step program. And I asked the doctor, like, I don't really feel the need for this patch. But they're like, well, if it's working, just stick to it. It's okay. For 10 weeks, you'll be done with it. And yeah, so compared to what the doctor recommended, I actually went very skinny. And I think it was because of your program.
Yeah, it's definitely it's because your mind was in the right place. And
Exactly.
I have to say, Rohit, that the reason we suggest people to not use any nicotine gums and patches and medication during the program is that they're not really needed. But of course, if someone, you had already started your journey, we could never discourage anyone from doing something they believe in. And of course, the real issue is overcoming the mental addiction. But it's because they don't really need it. And I love that you shared this story of the expectations your doctor had about how much nicotine you should be taking, and because your mind was starting to let go of smoking, you just uh,
Yeah.
didn't feel you needed it.
Yeah. I mean, it was really like I was so nervous on the first day.
Yeah.
They said 3 patches. I was like, that's insane. That's equal to 3 packs of cigarettes a day. And I was like, okay, I'll put two, and or they said 2.5, like two plus like a smaller strength. And I
Yeah.
I went with two on the first day, and I still had headaches and I still had everything. And then very quickly I was like, let me just take out 1 patch. And as the days goes by, I just felt less and less need. Like the nicotine gums I took for the first few days, like 4 or 5, and then it suddenly went to 0 very quickly. As soon as I went through 4 or 5 days of your program, it went to like 0. And I asked my doctor, should I just stop taking the patches? And they were like, well, just if you're taking it so minimal, just finish the course because it's working. And during that time, I just didn't have these crazy cravings. That was my biggest fear of quitting. So I just felt like, okay, I'll just finish this off.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, like, even if you had removed that last patch, you would still have been fine. But it's you came with the frame that you needed, and you said it made you feel a bit safe,
I was also
secure.
taking Wellbutrin for the whole month
Yeah,
as well of my
yeah.
first month. And again, it gave me a little bit of side effects, but again, I think that's another thing that I was thinking about stopping. And they're like, it's not like you're gonna have to taper down or any of that. Just take it for a month, finish this course. If it's working well and if it's easy for you, just finish it. And it did help me, I think, mentally, because I felt that I needed it. So
Okay, okay. What side effects did you experience because of it?
the side effects I had was like, I mean, obviously, I've never taken any of the psychotic medications in my life, so this was the first antidepressant. And but I think it was just more around like constipation or stomach kind of issues. Nothing major. It
Okay,
was
okay.
just,
That's good,
yeah.
thankfully.
Oh, there's one more detail I forgot to mention. So with
Yeah.
the patches, the doctor had recommended that I keep them on for 24 hours because these patches are slow release nicotine patches, right?
Okay.
They release nicotine equivalent to 20 cigarettes a day over the 24-hour period. Um, After the first 2, 3 days, I stopped wearing the patches at night. So I would just take them off at night and then put on a new one in the morning. So I already reduced it to even half the duration on
Yeah.
like day 4 of my plan. And that I think was just unbelievable for me myself. And so
It is. It is a
my
game
nicotine
changer.
consumption was very, very low. By the end of it, I was at 7 milligram patch one, and I finished it, and yeah, I was done
And now totally nicotine free.
completely. Yeah, since last December, I've been completely. Since I finished the last patch, I'm completely done.
Amazing, amazing. And before you quit vaping, was there something, worrying you about it or anything that caused you to be apprehensive about quitting?
Oh, so many things. I think I had multiple failed attempts. I was afraid of the headaches, the cravings, and one of your videos, I think you talk about that when we are a smoker, we are constantly in a state of craving because we smoke and then we crave and then we smoke again and crave again. So again, things like these just made me feel like it's not a big deal. I'll suffer from it for a few weeks or whatever time, and then I'll be done with this forever. It's such a great risk, return on investment, if you will, to crave. And so very worried about cravings. I had started a new job at the time, and I always had these ideas. I can't focus. What if I get snappy with people? All that kind of stuff. And it actually helped me because I was so busy with work. And again, your kind of concepts that you've kind of shared in your videos about think of your thoughts as a golem in your, like that's exactly true. Just ignore your thought or just say like you're not me, because we all like to entertain our thoughts. We take our thoughts seriously, but
Yes,
we should know an addicted mind is just playing tricks on us. And if we can recognize it, just ignore it.
perfectly said, exactly. And
So
what else were you afraid of before? So you mentioned not being able to focus, worried about being irritable, fearful of the cravings. Was there something else?
I think um, I think it's just it becomes a part of my identity. So I almost felt like I'm losing my, like, how do I, like, it's hard to imagine a future where I'm not doing this all the time. Like, you know, it almost feels like unbelievable, like a different person who would be a non-smoker at the time. So to kind of, and again, you kind of talk about some of those things about your identity, your thoughts. So all these things were just so spot on for me because they help you make this transition from a smoker to a non-smoker. Um, uh, so yeah, that was another fear, basically, that how will I kind of, I'll be a very different person, and I don't know if I want to be a very different person. This is a part of me. Um, yeah, I can go on about different fears, but you know,
Please do
uh,
if if more things come to mind, because I'm sure everything you're sharing will resonate with many other people. We
Mhm.
all of us have experienced at least most of those things.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think not being able to have fun. Like for
Yeah.
me, drinking and smoking always went together. And I was like, how can I go my entire life? Like I'm not going to stop drinking completely. I've always been a social drinker, but I'm not gonna. How do I will never have fun in those social settings when I'm going to be drinking. So is this even realistic? Or next time I'm just going to pick it up and when I drink because that's what has happened to me in the past. So I can try my best, and next time I go on a vacation to Mexico where I have an open bar and I'm going to get a cigarette, and all this will be for nothing. All these fears, I mean, they just pile up, and writing them down really helps. So you can tackle them one by one,
Yeah.
and
Great
yeah.
advice to write down all your fears. And Rohit, fast forward to now. Tell me what happened with those fears. Tell me, how were the cravings after all?
The cravings were, like I said, it was not bad at all. I mean, the first week was very nervous week for me, and then very quickly it became very easy, and I started to enjoy this journey. I was looking forward to like your day 7 of the class and day 8 of the class. I was looking forward to, I marked a calendar and I was like crossing days every
Oh, man.
day, giving myself compliments, which I never do these kind of things, but I was just like, I'm just going to be uh, happy. Here's an interesting story. So about the fear that I talked about, that I would never be able to enjoy drinking
Yeah.
with this, right? So on the last week of my patch, when I was going to be done with my patch, I took a trip to Lake Tahoe for a skiing trip,
Mhm.
which is in North California, and uh, that was the last day of my patch during that trip. So I was like, I want to be busy and I want to be enjoying. So I'm going to be, because I was still nervous that how will I do without any
Yeah.
nicotine support. And it went fine. And I went out with friends there, and I had like, I mean, I went out and I had drinks. I had quite a bit of drinks.
Yeah.
And never once during that night did I feel like or think about smoking at all. Like it just never
You,
even, and that was just my second, third month without vaping, essentially.
that is a huge achievement.
And since then, I've been to Vegas, I have been to Mexico, I have been drinking, I have been partying, and never once did I ever feel like, oh, I wish I could smoke. I wish I could smoke,
That's
or that person
incredible.
is smoking. And it's so, like, I'm just so indifferent towards it now that it just, it's just like a garbage can on the street. Like, it's not good or bad, it's just there. That's it.
Yeah, and I think it's very impressive to go from socializing without it to be one of your biggest fears and making you think that, fun in life is gonna stop. And now having done all those experiences where you could have easily uh, thought about smoking, or you may have smoked in the past or vaped, and you were indifferent to it. How did
Yeah.
you do it?
Again, I think it's your program, your this whole talking about the mental addiction and kind of getting over those steps. I think that is just amazingly helpful.
You have vaped and you have smoked. Can you tell me what are, for you, the differences between those two vehicles for nicotine?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we vape, we tend to ingest a lot more nicotine compared to when we smoke. Smoking, I mean, cigarettes have different levels of nicotine a little bit too. I think the reds and the lights and the ultra lights and all that. But at the end of the day, one pod of the vape is equal to 20 cigarettes. And
And
I
how
never
many
smoked 20
pods?
cigarettes a day. I always had like 10, 15 a day at most. And with pods, and the other problem with vaping is that you keep increasing. You keep increasing with time. The
Yeah.
longer you do it. So when I started, I would do half a pod a day. And when I was trying to quit it during the pandemic time, um, I was doing more than 2.5 pods a day, because we're all working from home. It's just being home all the time, and you can just go on and on and on and on.
And you build tolerance as well. The more you take nicotine, the
Exactly.
more tolerance you have. So then you need more and more and more to feel anything.
Exactly. Just like any other drug, you just
Yeah,
build it,
exactly.
and you build it very fast because the delivery system is just so easy. You don't have to go anywhere. And so it becomes a habit, it becomes subconscious. Like sometimes I won't even know I'm vaping when I'm
Yeah,
vaping. It's like just an
automatic.
automatic thing. And yeah, it just keeps going up and up, and it's very dangerous. I mean, not only for the heart and other, the amount of nicotine that you're ingesting, but the smoke that you're getting is still, there is smoke,
Oh, yeah.
with vaping. So
So you were basically smoking the equivalent of 2.5 packs a day.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, yeah, and again, it's something that I saw a lot of benefits of at the time, because it's doesn't smell. You can do it wherever. You don't have to get outside and take a break from people. You can just do it around there. But and that's enables you to even smoke more and more, and you build tolerance, and it gets harder and harder to quit with the nicotine addiction, at least.
And I think also the behavioral part of it, because you vape all the time, the barrier to vape is much lower, so you strengthen much more the habitual aspect of this movement. How did you manage with it after you quit?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's very right, because it's different from real smoking. You're kind of taking a break, going outside, excluding yourself, versus you're doing it watching TV or in the toilet or while working, or, you know. Um, your question is, how did I manage this after I
The
quit?
the behavioral
Habitual.
part, when did it go away? Did you feel the need you need to touch something, or it just went away completely?
Yeah, that reminds me, actually. So I bought I bought a bunch of things to kind of help me with this at the time. And again, it's one of those things where I didn't need them after 4 or 5 days. I bought toothpicks to put in my mouth and kind of do this, and then I bought some cinnamon gums, like
Yeah,
regular gums, to kind of chew and keep my mouth busy. And I used them for the first 4 or 5 days. And then as I went through your program, I just stopped even the toothpick started to feel like unnecessary or stupid. I was like, why am I putting this in my mouth? I have plenty of work to do and keep my hands busy. So, eh, you know, I had certain major habits, like I would wake up and that would be the first thing I would do, and I would go to the restroom, and that whole routine changed for me, which was very kind of tough for the beginning. And I kind of substituted that with waking up and going for a protein bar as my first thing in the morning. So that would be
much
sort of my
better.
breakfast. And it's a healthy protein bar. I take one in the morning, and I'll just go and start with that. And again, I was very nervous. And again, these toothpicks, this chewing gums, all these were part of my support system, which I needed in the beginning. But very quickly, I was able to get rid of all of them. And when I felt a craving or something, I would either take a walk or do some deep breathing, think about something else, talk to a friend, listen to music, all these different techniques that just help me do that. Obviously, everybody is unique in their own ways. I think I do well when I prepare. I do well when I set a goal and try, because then you set a goal, then you set some objectives underneath, and how do you get to each of those? You sort of plan this out. Uh, Preparation is the biggest key. Again, I had many failed attempts. I had at least, I would say, 3 to 5, if not more, failed attempts over the course. And I failed miserably when I promised a bunch of people. I made it very public, and then I was ashamed, and I went back to smoking. The only difference was I looked at this as a mental addiction rather than a physical addiction. I prepared for it. Yes, it was hard, and I kind of tried to, but I really followed, I think you have to put your faith or belief system somewhere. And, when I saw your videos and I saw the program, it really, I believed it. And I was like, I truly believe this, right? And I just followed what you were saying. Even like I remember you said something about, like, if you're really having a craving, touch somewhere on your hand and think you're climbing up a mountain. And I remember doing that like the first week quite a lot, because I was getting those cravings despite the patches and all that. But I still didn't feel like I should inject or I should get the uh, nicotine chewing gums. I would rather do that than take another nicotine gum, because it didn't help me. That craving was still there. Um, so I don't want to. I don't think that I am that special in that sense. I can, if I set a goal, I'm good at reaching that goal, and it really takes preparation, and everybody's circumstances are very different, I think, at the end of the day. I think if we educate ourselves as much as possible on what is happening here, um, it helps a lot. And YouTube and all these places are great platforms to find videos, TED Talks, and stuff like that. Um, I did not expect this to be easy the way it became easy. And it was never easy before. I struggled. I really wanted to quit and I failed and ashamed of it. So I think the only difference this time was this preparation. If we really want to quit and we put the time and preparation in it and believe that what we are doing is actually going to be less painful than keeping the way we are. I think that was a big motivator for me, that keeping the addiction is going to be much harder way to live than what I'm going to go through over the next month or two or whatever that is. So,
Got
you
it.
know.
Got it. And so, how has quitting vaping changed your life?
Oh, I mean, a few ways. I mean, I think first of all, it gave me so much confidence uh, eh, that, I can prepare and do this, because I so wholeheartedly wanted to do it, but I failed multiple times. Like, I don't think there was a lack of will before either. So it gave me this confidence that if I prepare right, I can do anything. In fact, I remember, so December is when I was off the patches and all of that. And I was thinking about my new year goal and what I should do next year and and I said, okay, I'll make a goal that I will try to have six-pack abs by the end of 2021. But that would require, a sub goal is that I'll work out every day consistently. And it has been 300 plus days when I find at least 30 minutes to do some form of exercise, whether it's weights or walk or stretching and all that. I have so much more time compared to before as well. So I can find time for these things.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it gives me confidence. It has freed up time for me. It has, of course, I've saved like $6,000. I have this app where I track this, so it's like almost $6,000 I've saved so far, and like, in a year I've saved like 2 months of my life. That's like or 3 months, so it's like a 20% return on investment, which is great in life. um,
Most valuable investment.
yeah. And the, just that freedom that I feel, that now I can, in the past, even though I'm very extroverted and a social person, I would avoid those settings where it would be hard for me to vape, or where I have to kind of be out and about without the vape, or, and it has just given me this freedom that, or even if I'm going to dinner with you, I'll go to the bathroom and do some vape, because
Yeah.
I couldn't go through 2 hours without it. Um, that whole freedom is just amazing, you know. Just, and the best part is I don't miss it and I don't desire it, which is just, I don't, so it's one of the biggest, best things I've done for myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Um, Thank you so much for sharing your unique perspective and experience and how you approach the CBQ program in your own way. And I know that everything you shared will help many on their journey who vape, or they switched from vaping to smoking, or from smoking to vaping. And you shared a lot of important lessons about preparation and attitude, and how our fears sometimes do not come true. So I'm sure what you shared will help many others. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Nasha.
Of course. And if you're here watching this video, leave a comment below and let Rohit and I know what you're taking away from his journey that can help you in yours. We're looking forward to reading your comments. Thank you all for being here. Have a great day and see you next time.
Thank you.